From the BBR studios, once again, it is Line Locked, your podcast for everything racing and a lot of bull. What do you think?
I don't know if we can say that like right out of the gate. I think we got to wait like 30 seconds before we can say words like that.
Okay, we are now at 30 seconds. Bullshit.
Thank you. All right, I'll just bleep the first one.
Hey, do you know last week we talked about ghost stories, and I thought about one on the way home from that podcast, actually, and I wanted to tell you the story about it, see if it changes your mind at all.
Okay. All right, I'm here.
So my grandmother on my dad's side, when my dad got remarried, her song that she chose to do the groom and mother dance was Time in the Bottle by Jim Croce, right? Okay. She died like, I think, 10 years later, and we were at a hotel after the funeral, and my dad went up to the jukebox and played some music, right? That song came across the jukebox. I thought that was really nice of my dad to play that song. I went up to the jukebox. That song was nowhere to be found on the selection list. Our mom came up and said, "What are you looking at?" I said, "Look at this and see if you can find Time in the Bottle on here at all." And she says, "I can't find it at all." And I went up to my dad and I said, "Dad," and he knew what I was getting ready to say. He said, "Don't talk about it."
Really?
Yes.
Did anybody open it up and see the record was actually in there?
Even if it was,
yeah, it's still spooky.
The odds of that song playing at that event.
Okay, it's fair. I mean, I got a little goosebumps off that one.
A little bit? Okay. All right. Hey, let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your first year of racing with NDRL, how many rounds did you win?
That would be a big goose egg, I believe.
Big goose egg.
I didn't think I won any. Actually, I know for a fact because that year was COVID year, and we only raced twice, and both of them I lost first round. I was running 10-0 index on going 1150.
1150. Did you have your 4 or 5 speed in there?
No. I had a power glide, and I had that blower that you're using.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to work it.
So you were doing an 1150 in it with a blower car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't figure it out. I was running way too fat. I think was the issue.
Well,
I tell you, it was running way too fat because I have a video of it catching fire at St. Louis.
Fire?
Yeah, at St. Louis, it caught fire. I was dispersing so much raw fuel on the ground that when I went up on the two-step, it just caught on fire.
Oh,
yeah,
man, I gotta watch that video. You got is that on video somewhere?
Yeah, maybe I'll try to put it back here.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I'll try to find it.
Well, I won one round also, but it was a fluke.
Yeah,
I told the guy that I was only running 1150 at the time, and he's like, he didn't believe me at first.
Yeah, and
then when we got out there, he was really slow to get off the line because he didn't want a red light and stuff, and he was running 10, and it was a 950 car, but he was running the 10 class, I believe.
So we were trying to give him a bone. Saying,
yes.
Hey, we can't run the number. We're going to run, but we can't run the number. So if you want to use it as test pass, just know that we cannot run 10 flat. That's basically what we.
But he didn't believe us. I mean, he was hesitant. Maybe I should say that, hesitant about it. And we went down, and I'm just running my race. I'm honestly not paying attention to him at all.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm coming up beside him like a scalded ape, and I let out of the gas, and he's like let out of the gas too, and then all of a sudden I sped up, and then he sped up, and then I slowed down, he slowed down. I mean, it was back and forth, and then I was like, something's wrong here, and I beat the guy, and I felt so bad that I beat the guy with a 11.5 second car.
We even apologized afterwards. And was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. We didn't tell you we were going to give it to you, but, we definitely ran the number that we said we were going to run.
Oh, yeah. Definitely didn't run any faster. Anyway. But, hey, what my point for all this was, we got a great guest that's going to be coming on. Yep. His first year racing with NDRL. He was
actually a winner chicken dinner.
He won a whole race.
He actually ran rounds on a couple races, I think. But we're going to find out his story.
Yeah.
We got Levi coming up a little later after we get past the news.
Hey, wait.
What?
I got one more riddle. I know you didn't like the riddle last time.
If nobody says anything in the comments about this riddle, we're not doing a third one.
We're going to end this one. Okay. But I'm going to do it one more time.
Okay. All right.
Here we go. Here's the riddle. What can you hold in your right hand but can never hold in your left hand?
I don't know.
What can you hold in your right hand but never in your left hand?
I'll be thinking about it, but I have no idea.
All right. Well, let's go to the news and find out.
Okay.
After the news.
Yeah, after the news. Well, no, it'd be after the very end. You got to stay to the end. All right, here we go. Here's coming the news.
It is the Line Locked News with your anchor, Senor Ricardo
There you go.
Corey.
Perfect.
All right.
I liked it. It wasn't bad.
All right. What's up?
All right, so we got several things in the news this week. Lucas Oil Raceway, the Parks Tower, is being torn down. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but it's a iconic tower. It's in tons of pictures and some movies and everything else.
Yep.
It was actually built in 1983 after the NHRA purchased the facility in 79. So it's been around a while. It's a 4-story brick building, square. There's nothing fancy about it other than the fact that it's kind of unique, and it's being torn down right now. I don't know what they're putting in its place. I haven't seen anything that's any renderings or anything, but I'm sure they're going to build back better.
But it was the Wally Parks Tower, man.
I know. Well, it's going to be something. They're going to do something. I know that they're expanding it. I know they said something about that, but I haven't seen any renderings.
Well, hopefully they name it the Wally Parks New Tower or something like that.
Or Blood Brothers Racing Tower would be cool.
They'd never be called that.
All right, so the next thing up is the 30th annual Hot Rod Power Tour. Just released their schedule, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically you bring your hot rod out and you drive sometimes 1,000 miles. I mean, it's a pretty good little run around, but each place, it's daily, will be at a different place, and they'll either have drag racing or motocross or car shows. It's a really cool time. Plus, if you make all of them, you end up getting a plaque. It's really cool. So if you're interested in that, the first day is in Beach Bend Raceway Park.
Wow.
And that's going to be, I believe it's June 10th is the first day. June 10th, yes. June 11th is going to be in Nashville Speedway in Lebanon, Tennessee. Sorry about that. The next one's June 12th, L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow.
So they're going to be real close to us twice.
Yeah. Well, actually, all these are not too far from us.
June 13th, National Trails in Hebron, Ohio. Is that Hebron or Hebron?
Hebron? I don't know.
Okay, anyway. Lucas Oil Stadium's on June 14th in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And watch out, hot rodders. Ohio drivers can't drive.
Yeah.
Very well.
Not very well.
So just keep that in mind.
All right, because we are a show about record breaking, evidently, I don't think this one's a micro record to me. Anyway,
okay, well,
C8 Corvette, C8, the newest Corvette, mid-engine. It went 864 with twin turbo, the LT motor that's in it.
Quarter mile, right?
Quarter mile,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty impressive. I've ran a little faster than that in my truck, but still, with the factory block, which is the LT, it's kind of like the LS, but it's the LT model motor. They twin turboed it, which I don't even know where the hell they're putting the turbos at.
Yeah,
because there's not a whole lot of room in that car.
Well, it's a mid-engine car.
Yeah.
So that's
curious. It's the same car that was first of the 9s with the C8, and the new build that they have, it's 1,385 horsepower, 1,206 pounds of foot torque, or whatever.
1,206.
That's what I'm going for. It's an LT2 motor, 6.2 liter. It's got a bunch of cool stuff in it, ARP, Cometic head gaskets, the works. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The last one we're going to talk about is Sick Week is coming up real soon.
Is that when we catch COVID? Everybody in the nation?
Yeah, I guess so. But the reason I wanted to bring it up this time, because I'm hoping on our next podcast, we're going to have somebody that's actually going down there to race in it. Sick Week this is the second annual, I believe. It's down in Florida. It's a week of competition where it's a drag and drive thing, and it's 800 miles. It starts in Orlando Speedway on day 1 on January 29th, and it goes to Bradenton the next day, Gainesville the next day, South Georgia, Orlando is day 5. So it's really cool event. I think our buddy's going to be running the 850 class, which is 850 and a quarter.
And that's in the wagon, right?
Which I'll maybe do a preview back here of what the wagon could do on a street in Mexico.
Yeah, so hopefully we can kind of talk to him.
I want to talk to him about how his feeling is going into it, and then we're going to try to get him back after he comes back, and then see how it went.
Yeah, and if you guys, seriously, this wagon,
it's badass.
It is a Zephyr wagon. I think it's brown.
Yeah, brown. Yeah.
And looks stock. And you've actually taken a ride in that.
Oh, yeah. And that's where this video comes into play. We had to take it to Dollar General to get me some flip-flops. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's a good exciting time. All right. That's the news. So,
all right. We got this great guest coming up. So cue the intro music, please.
Here it is.
This is the front engine dragster driving, blown small block crushing the Fall Classic 7.0 winning Levi Vandenburg. How you doing, buddy?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on, because it's actually I met you for the first time in Martin, Michigan.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool to see your kind of program going around. But first, I see there's a bunch of pictures behind, or a couple pictures behind you. So you've been in racing for a while. Tell us about kind of where you started, and then we'll get into the NDRL stuff when we get a little later in this.
So before I came about, my dad raced quarter-mile drag boats, and between me and my sister, we put the kibosh on that just because we existed. And Dad always had hot rods in an extended garage, and as I got older, they got faster. I raced anything from lawnmowers to four-wheelers. I ran the national circuit on a four-wheeler one time. I was pretty good locally, but I found out I was not that good to run nationals. So 2 concussions and a broken wrist. I was like, I'm done with this.
You sound like a kid that had a lot of casts.
Yeah, not too many. Just, I had a bad wrist break and a lot of, your scrapes and
So this four-wheeler racing, was that drag racing or is that
jump was
stuff?
Motocross four-wheelers.
Motocross four-wheeler. That's cool, man.
We purposely left the ground. It was like, what are we doing?
Yeah. But, what's that like? As far as, you say national, how many races would that be?
Yeah. So I ran down at Loretta Lynn's, which was a really cool race. Millville, Minnesota. I went to, and then I broke my wrist. So I went along with the family to one in Texas. I ran 3 races nationally. There's one in Crawfordsville, Indiana.
Yeah.
But then there was a local track about an hour north of us. So we ran there every Friday night.
Okay.
And a lot of fun. It was you had to be very fit to do it. And it wasn't as intense because you had, once the gate strapped, you had 5 laps to catch the guy.
Yeah.
And, you could buff a turn here or miss a jump and kind of try to catch up. But then once that happened, I kind of built my own street car, and it got fast to the point where Dad said, if we're going to go any faster, we're not going to build anything you can drive on the street because you'll kill yourself. And he's probably right.
Yeah.
So I said, well, 2012 was the first year that my father and I went to the Time Machine Nationals down at Union Grove. So we live about an hour north of that track, Great Lakes Dragway. And I remember the first dose of nitro I ever got was from the Orange Crate front engine top fuel car and the Telstar front engine top fuel car. And it was like sensory overload beyond belief. Everything, the sights, the smells, everything shook when they left. It's like, that's what I want to do, So actually, take that back. The first time I sat in a front engine dragster, I was like, this is dangerous. I'm sitting over the rear end, and it was at that race. Mm-hmm. But I sat in a rear engine dragster one time at a small little expo down in Chicagoland, and all I saw were these 2 little front tires sitting in front of me. I'm like, this is really boring. Like, what? Mm-hmm. So rear engine was definitely the way to go. It was more nostalgic and just kind of has the badass feel,
Yeah.
So I bought a aborted project in about 2017, sight unseen out of Washington. And we freighted the half-ass built dragster. It was basically a Mark Williams chassis that was tacked up, but half of the pieces fell apart. It had a rear end in it, and I bought it for basically the cost of that rear modular housing. Mm-hmm. So 2018 for us was a build year. In the spring of 2019, we did a little match racing down at Union Grove. There's a small match race group that has about 15 cars. They run anywhere from 11. There's some guys that run blown alcohol up in there. They get about 750s. So we had the injected small block at that point, and it ran anywhere from 830s to 850s. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing yet, but enough to make it not blow up, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that hard to do with an injected car. So that was 2019, the fall of 2019, though, we went to the 850 Super Comp in Martin with the NDRL, and that was the first taste of actual competition I got. Mm-hmm. So it was like, or Pro Comp, I'm sorry, not Super Comp, I don't know what I said. But that whole, when you match race, you get 3 runs regardless, win or lose. But it's like, you go up there and yes, it's an open field to qualify, but it's like, hey, we got to get our kind of stuff together here. So we could lose this and go home. And we drove 6 hours to get here. So that first taste of like real competition in the car, made it so much more intense than just leaving and, driving the car, win or lose.
Yeah.
So that was fall of 2019. 2020, we were in the car as much as possible. That was COVID, so that year sucked. But Great Lakes Dragway had to run under the minimal. They had a clause where they could run the minimal amount of people to keep the timing system and the track and everything up to snuff. Otherwise, it would deteriorate and fall apart. So we got to run a little bit there. And then I decided, I talked to Dad. I'm like, hey, I'm not really like, this car's not fast enough for me anymore. And I've kind of bored, and I'm not scared of it anymore per se. The goosebumps didn't come around in the staging lanes anymore. So I'm like, let's just go to 7.0 Pro. And he goes, of course you want to run the fastest class the NDRL has. It's like, yeah. So I lost my Post-it note. There's so many dates on here. So the winter of 2020 to the spring of 2021, I built the canards for the car, updated it, put the fire bottles on it, stiffened it a little bit. I used to have real high sides with a Lexan windscreen, and it was kind of a bitch to get out of. Mm-hmm. So I lowered it, and I brought the sides down, and I put a aluminum kind of windscreen on it lower. It looked more nostalgic, Mm-hmm. So then 2021, we sat out because we were waiting on parts. 2020 kind of messed up the whole supply chain. So 2021, we sat out and waited a whole year, and that year taught me patience. Holy cow. You try to build a motor to plan, and it's like, no.
It's tough.
So, yeah. So then 2022, we got the car out, shook it down. I tried to run, I have a LB20 supercharger, just a 671. I got it set back quite a bit, and it was so unbalanced that we came out a couple times, and as we leaned on it to get it faster, we ended up melting 1 and 2 in it. It really likes to pick on those two holes. Mm-hmm. So with the thanks to Jimmy Young, who runs the Young Guns Top Fuel car, he said, you got to put port nozzles on it. We got to get a computer. I don't care if we sit out for a little while. Buy a computer, and you got to know what your cylinders are doing.
Yeah, EGTs.
So, yeah, EGTs was the best.
Yep.
So we put the EGT in there, found out that there was like the spread between 1 and 2 and 7 and 8 was like 600 degrees, and 1 and 2 were doing all the work, and 6 and 7 and 8 were just lazy as all get
just along for the ride.
Yeah. So we fattened up the front and leaned out the back, and we got it running really, really good. Had a problem with tires. We were running the M&H Top Fuel tire, but it wasn't really reacting to a power glide like it would a clutch. They're not made for that. They're not made for that quick hit. Mm-hmm. And they weren't growing to give us that top end we needed. Mm-hmm. They're a real stiff wall side tires, so they just didn't grow. Mm-hmm. So we didn't
give you the third gear, essentially.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we got a set of Mickey Thompsons from Jim Young, and he said, just run these. You're going to love it. Trust me. And I was real stubborn. I'm like, but I love this look. He goes, just run them, dude. It's going to work. And it worked. So we dinked around for all of 2022 until I could get a 7.0 something. I didn't want to show up to a race because I didn't, I just wanted to come in there knowing I did my homework. And we got a good handful of 7.0 passes, enough to get some data in like really crappy air. Because if I knew I could do it in really crappy air on a less than stellar track, you can pretty much do it anywhere. Mm-hmm. You just kind of got to figure out where. So our first race of the year was going to be the first race was Indy, right? Mm-hmm. So we waited for Indy, and I was waiting on an aluminum block. Didn't show up, wasn't showing up. Finally showed up for Norwalk. So we went to Norwalk, which is perfect because the air was garbage there. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we had a good track. But we went out first round at Norwalk. But just to feel the presence of the NDRL and how everyone's so nice. It's a huge family there. The track was stellar. I mean, you could put the car anywhere you wanted on the track; it would go straight. Yeah. So we went out. First round, I didn't care. I had a blast. We met so many cool people. And actually, you were parked. We had our small trailer at that point and you guys were parked, because I remember hearing your truck start. You can't. It's like,
Yeah, that's the best part about it.
Corey,
Hey, maybe I'm gonna have to get some blower advice from you guys, because I can't get this shit to run straight, even anyway.
Even, yeah.
We'll get you figured out.
Yeah,
So
I want to talk about that a little later, but for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then Martin is basically, we call it our home track, because Dad grew up about 5 seconds from the track. Down, the road you turn on to get to the track, you go a little bit further. That was his farm. So Martin is always really fun for us. It's basically like going back home, seeing the family and everything. And that's where we originally met.
Yep.
You and I. And I don't remember who I beat at Martin, but we went one round. So that was give me the taste of victory. And it was like, okay, cool. And then Bowling Green came about.
Yep.
So Bowling Green was like, Dad, we got to go. It's the last hurrah. I know it's 9.5 hours, but what else are we going to do at home? It's going to be 45 and rainy. So we went up there, and, in between Martin and Kentucky, we just serviced the car. Probably I serviced the thing like it's almost like a fuel car. Mine is taking the heads off. I check bearings and stuff, make sure everything's perfect, and everything to keep a good program going. And we went down there and just kind of had a game plan of doing our normal stuff, and an act of God happened, and we ended up winning the deal. So
you got to be lucky to win. You got to have, there's some amount of luck you got to have. I mean, it's just how it is. But
especially when everything's that close. I mean, between Robbie and everybody in the first 8 cars is 700 with something.
Larry Harland, all those guys are just they're on it. And it's really tough.
Yeah.
The thing is when you go out there and let go of the button, it's anybody's race. If providing you're a 700 something. Anybody can make a small mistake. And like you said earlier, when you're racing four-wheelers, you buff a turn, you have some opportunity to make it up. When you're running 7.0, that's just it is what it is. I mean, you make one mistake, it's over. There's not you're not going to put the pedal further through the floor to pick up speed or nothing.
Well, you can't do like was it coal trickle and just shift it again?
Again.
Dropping the hammer.
Dropping the hammer.
Yeah, it's wild. And I tell you, I was real excited to see you win 7-0 because Robbie dominates that, and everybody knows that. I like to see some competition against Robbie. Just because he needs some too, because he'll eventually get bored of winning. I'm sure.
Right.
He needs somebody pushing him, and there's a lot of guys that are pushing him. The problem is with Robbie in that program. It's just he's got to make mistakes, and there's just not that many he makes.
Right. They got it dialed for sure.
In Bowling Green, he made the mistake of not having to charge batteries.
I was getting ready to say that exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting in the car, and Robbie's right there and ready to go, and I'm just sitting there watching, and I see his hands like go up in his canopy, and I pointed to Dad, and he's like, "We got a chance at this one."
Yeah. Yeah. If Robbie goes out first round, it's a free for all at that point.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah, everybody's on the same playing field again. Yeah, he's a competitor, man. That whole group they're amazing.
Well, I mean, everybody, Larry, Gordon, everybody up there is just killer.
Absolutely. It's just
Applebaum when Paul shows up, it's great.
There's a lot of stellar racers there, and even younger guys coming in or new guys that show up just for 1 or 2 races that you don't know nothing about. Those guys are deadly too. And besides that, I mean, they just came in with a little better karma, a little more luck than you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. Nothing you can do about it.
Well,
for sure.
the whole thing is if Robbie's battery was charged, I mean, it might have been a different outcome.
100%.
So that's where that luck comes in. I mean, And
he would have won that round because I forget who he was running, but they shook the tires.
Yeah.
So they had to let off at about like 3:30 or so, and Robbie would have went around with them, no problem. But it's just the same like we were talking about. There's just that margin of luck. That guy was lucky. Robbie's battery was dead.
Yeah.
And I didn't run and get the chart or the jumper fast enough.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
I think Robbie told you to clean out your locker after that one.
Yeah, he did. It's funny you should say that because that's a funny thing we say at the firehouse.
Clean out your locker.
Clean out your locker, boy. Any fireman that's watching this, make sure you put down there clean out your locker because that's a funny thing we say.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, man, it was real exciting to see you win, and again, there was some luck involved, obviously.
For sure.
But it sounded like you do a lot of preparation. And I'll tell you, in Martin, Michigan, you don't generally stay with your race car. You put it all up at night. I assume you go to a hotel or something, right? Mm-hmm. And you were there late.
Now we have a 44-foot gooseneck that we have a sleeping quarters in, so that'll change. But,
But I just remember you were there late. and then
and
then you left, and I assume you only got a few hours of sleep before you had to come back and get after it. Now I tell you, Martin, Michigan was a little different because we didn't actually start racing till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so you could have probably slept in a little bit.
I think it was more like 1 o'clock at night. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. We're hoping this year is not as bad, but it's probably going to be as bad. I think we're going to run after the juniors.
That's better than the Jets.
Yeah, that's true. They stir up a lot of dirt. But no, you obviously put the work in.
Yeah,
and that's what is the saying about preparedness that you gotta
a failure to prepare is preparing to fail.
Something that's one of them, but it's like winning is like when luck and preparation meet or something.
Yep,
something like that, similar. And you put the prep in. You got a couple rounds. I'm sure you got a little luck out of it, and then you end up winning the Fall Classic. And that is the first. Is that the first event with NDRL that you did win? Correct.
That's the first thing I've ever won ever. Actually.
Ever? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah. There's not a feeling like it. I mean, tell us. Let's talk about that final round.
Sure.
Actually, are we close?
You want me to tell you about all the rounds? I know.
That's actually. I tell you what. Let's take a quick commercial break.
Let's do that.
And then when we come back, let's just talk about round for round because there's two things we're going to talk about. First, we're going to do that round for round. And then towards the end of it, I want to talk some blower motor strategy. Because it sounds like you were running into the same problems I'm currently having. And maybe somebody that's listening to this may get something out of that.
Good deal.
So let's do a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
All right, see you.
Sure.
Is your trailer an organization disaster?
Do you have a hard time finding the tools that you need when you're at the track?
Well, let us tell you about some awesome organizational tools offered by Clear One.
Clear One Products is a leading manufacturer of lightweight, non-marring, scratch-resistant trailer storage components, a high-quality, low-cost alternative to metal components.
Whether it's your race car trailer, horse trailer, work trailer, or even your garage or shop, Clear One offers the products that you need. A full line of products is available to get you organized.
From fuel jug holders, oil and aerosol shelves, trailer door racks, tool and floor jack holders, to vinyl strip doors and jack pads, Clear One has it all.
Check out our friends over at Clear One Racing for all your trailer and race day organizational needs.
That's clearoneracing.com. Clear and the number one racing.com.
Thank you, Clear One, for sponsoring the Line Locked podcast. And we're back. Thank you, Clear One, again, for sponsoring this podcast. Let's talk about the Fall Classic because that was the one you were winning on, and I'm sure because it's probably the last race you went to this year, right?
Yes.
So it's still pretty good in your memory. Let's talk about how many cars were in 7.0 at that race.
Oh boy.
Do you remember?
No, a lot.
Yeah. How many rounds did you end up having to win?
4.
So, how many did that turn out to be?
16.
16 plus. It could be plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's quite a bit. All right, so let's go up for first round. What was your strategy? What were you talking about? What were you thinking about?
First round, I try to just, everyone's going to say I just race my own race and stuff. But if I do think like, oh man, I got to beat this guy in the lanes, right? I really trying to think about anything. Like I go through all the stuff I'm going to do. Dad starts, turns the blower over, pop the mag off, fuel, whatever. When we're kind of starting, when we're next, it's like, okay, they know that we have a blower starter. Okay, cool. We're going to start first. Who's doing what? Just kind of assess the situation and then get up there, make sure the car starts, bump second gear, burn out, back up, all the same stuff. And then it's just kind of who's ready first or who's staged first. And then I don't pro stock burn anybody down or anything. We just go up there and run our race. So
right. Where'd you qualify at? Do you remember?
Oh, fifth.
That's pretty good qualifying.
Yeah. I'm actually really happy about that. All of the races that we've been in, we've actually qualified top 8, which is I'm happy, pretty proud about that.
Top half of the field for sure.
Came in running, makes me feel like I kind of got my shit together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So first round, actually, we're waiting for our match, Michael Hope, who is out of either Kentucky or Tennessee. They run the Rat Trap Alter.
Yep.
And can't find him. We're just kind of waiting in the back. And all of a sudden I see him coming up in street clothes. I'm like, oh, they broke. And I'm kind of mad about it. I wanted to run him. He's actually a young kid too. So get up there. We had way back in the 850 class, we had one competition buy around because I had the low reaction time or something. And I remember the rule was do anything you want, just don't red light. So I get up there and I told Dad, I said, hey, we need some data with this air and this track. So I'm just going to run it through. I'm just going to be like an hour and a half late on the tree, you know? So light turns green and I let the button go when we popped off a 700 with a 2 and everybody went, oh shit. So that was first round. You know, we ended up having our bye and came around round 2. We ran a yellow dragster with purple flames. I don't remember the gentleman's name. And that round we actually won on a red light and a breakout. So he either got, you know, he just was running his race, and I try to drive the car as hard as I can every time. I don't like lifting and all that stuff. So yeah, I watched him the whole time. I'm like, and I saw his light go red. So that's how early he was. And I'm like, okay, well, that was in the bag. And then third round was Gordon Horn. He has a split window Pro Mod Vet. He's Larry's buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And that round was dead. I mean, I could see him. I have a little bit of an advantage, you know, because I'm further back than they are. So I can see him the whole time, and I'm kind of reeling him in, doing quite a bit of driving. Bowling Green was a lot of fun for driving the car. Track was a little bit less than stellar after the half, and just a lot of fun. So I'm driving the crap out of the car, and he's out on me a little bit, but he went 696. And I saw my wind light come on, and I started just screaming like a little girl.
Yeah.
I was just jumping for joy because I felt like, you know, that was an intense race to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a bye, didn't have a crazy red light. So we got to the end, shook hands, said everything's good, and Larry was right after us. So I seen Larry win his round, and I come up to him, I said, see you in the final. He goes, oh, you again, because I beat him first round in Martin, so he has my number now. You know, he's ready to come get me. So we had that little bit of a rain delay, which really saved their ass because my motor was getting hot, and I got a solid block with. It's just I don't run coolant through it or nothing, and we're running rounds. So we get back, and I told Dad, pull every panel off the car. We got to get some air on this thing, get it cooled off a little bit. So thankfully, then that like 45-minute, 1 hour rain delay came, and motor got cooled down enough to where I was like, okay, well, we're not going to wreck anything, hopefully. So get up there, and they're dragging the track, and for us, that's usually I like when they drag the track, right? Well, sometimes they pull rubber off. Sometimes, you know, there's nobody to run it in. So we get up there, and Larry picked the right lane, and I picked left because I'm used to running the left lane a lot because that's where our single test runs are at the local track. So I'm like, yes, sure, I'll take the left. So get up there, and it's chilly. The track temperature never got above 80 degrees. So get up there, do everything, and I kind of did the whole pro stock deal. I know Larry Larry does like to stage last, and he's got a clutch car. So I hear him come up on the revs a little bit, and I just kind of wait for a minute, wait, and then I bump in, you know, and we leave, and I usually can 60-foot him just a little bit, and he'll come right past me about 330, and then we're neck and neck. And I never saw him come around, ever, ever, ever. And I'm thinking, he disappeared really quick. So I'm thinking he shook the tire right off the car. And I'm chugging through there with my foot in it going, dumbass, you could still break out right now. So I quick lift off the throttle and tug a little bit of brake, and we ran, I think like a 708 at 170 or something. And it was kind of like that one. I was really calm when we won that one. It wasn't like you know, it was in my head as I'm going on the track, just like that. Holy shit, kid, you kind of did it, you know, and just turned off there and had a moment of Larry actually never came off. He ran off the early turnoff, but had a moment of silence down there. It was just like, wow. This actually happened. Like I did it, and it doesn't hit you until you get back to the trailer, you know?
Yeah. Until you start seeing everybody else react to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's,
you know, Larry was obviously pretty pissed off, but he goes, you know, I'm glad a kid like you won it. And it's like, man, that means so much, you know, just coolest feeling ever.
It's like when you're in high school and playing football. It's like, welcome to high school, kid. You get tackled for the first time.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a cool feeling to have the old guys give you a little respect like that, huh?
Right. Yeah, it was pretty cool. You know, he said you've been nothing but respectful to us old guys, and you seem to be a hard worker, and you got your shit together. So that one to me means more than anything. You know, just to be respected by the older guys, and I look up to them. When we went to Martin, you know, because we would go to Martin for the Nationals, the Funny Car Nationals all the time. And Larry Harlan's car was the first NDR car I've ever seen. Like, it was the really cool flat black Anglia with flames on it, you know? It's just awesome.
It's unique. That's one cool thing about the NDRL. It's it's very unique. Every class has a couple cars that are just way different than anything else you'll see, and that's one of the cool things about it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you won. See, we talked about, okay. The one thing I wanted to question you on is if you did not grab a handful of brake or pull the chutes a little early, would you have red lit or broke out by the math?
I think so. The car, I could do the math based on the 60 foot and the 8th mile times. It was on a run. It was chugging really hard and it was going straight. So probably.
Yeah, you'd probably been a 699.9.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Larry would have won off a tire shake.
Larry would have went right past me on purpose.
Yeah, he'll get out and push it to the last turn off.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, that's a cool story, man. It's a cool first win. We're still looking for our first win with the NDRL. We're hoping for this year. It's tough. We both run the same class, so eventually we're going to have to run each other on that one. But it's one of those deals. It's a lot of fun. It sounds like you're the same way. You really can't say anything bad about them. The whole program, everybody's very fair. Everybody's respectful. If you need anything, you just go to the next guy, and if he doesn't have it for you, he's going to tell you, "Hey, I think this guy has it." Go down and talk to him.
One,
yeah, for sure. We're kind of blessed in the fact that it's the only league that we've ever been a part of, so we don't really have a basis of comparison. But I can tell you, there's no real reason to go looking elsewhere.
No, there's not.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about blowers a little bit.
Sure.
You said that your dad did some boat racing. Is that what you're? Correct? Was it blown stuff as well?
Yeah, he had quite a few blown boats. Yeah.
So he had some experience before you started the blower motor deal here.
A little bit. Honestly, I love my dad to death, but he wasn't. And maybe this is. I dive into everything 110%, probably more than it's even necessary.
Sure.
And my dad's just kind of had 671 blower, GM 671 stuff, stock case and all that junk. So never.
Did you hear that, Chris? He called your blower junk.
Hey,
sorry.
Mine was made in Detroit.
So nothing too involved. When we got this LB20, it was, it's at the time it was a really, really good blower for the limited. They built the blower for the limited overdrive classes to be really, really, really efficient.
Is the LB is that a Littlefield or something?
Yeah. Littlefield blower, and they set the rotor back in the case a little bit, and then they have the discharge is much further in the front.
Exactly what I got.
Yeah. So
you got that blower, which is kind of an upgrade for what your dad was running. So you get more boost. The airflow is a lot different because it's a front discharge deal.
Yeah.
So you have to have the engine set or the setback.
Yep.
And this is my first year running. I got a what is that blower?
BDS 871.
Yeah, I got a BDS 871. Teflon. It's all methanol and all that stuff. Pretty much the same stuff you're running. The only difference is I got water in my jackets. So maybe I'm losing a little bit of strength there, but nonetheless, I wanted to be able to maybe bracket race it if I wanted to, and you're just not going to be able to do that with a solid block. Nonetheless, I ran into that the beginning of this year, where my front two cylinders were running extremely hot or kind of hot or cold.
Yep.
And then the rears were running hot, and then when you're going down track, it would reverse. So and then it was really hard to figure out, and I think really the only way of dealing with this is probably port injection like you've had to do.
Yep.
But my question is, what I want to kind of ask you about is, what kind of percentages are you running through your hat versus your port?
So, I don't know offhand. It's not a lot. I run the least amount in the top of the blower because that's just mixing stuff up, And all that we really run the fuel through the blower is just to keep it
cool down,
keep it lubricated, really.
Yeah.
So I ran. I think I've got like 48s in the blower right now, and then which does have enough to keep everything happy. But then I just made up the differences with the ports. But it's a really my ports come in at 15% or 15 psi. So I'm on from idle to, whenever the thing is idling, it's on the blower. So the back pipes are just richer. They're still rich because it's dropping the fuel out of the back and it's shoving all the air to the front. So it'll get the front hot until the ports come in. But I would have to quick look and just see what my numbers are. I easily get back to you on that.
Yeah,
that's the one number I don't have.
I would definitely want to keep in touch with you on that because my issue is, the port size. You don't want to get such a small hole that a debris could block it and then burn a cylinder up. Yep. So you kind of got to flirt with it, but how much you put in the port versus the blower. Yep. I'm thinking, 50-50 seems fair. But I don't know. I don't even know if that'll give me enough. Yeah, I don't even know if that'll give me enough though. What size cubic inch is your small block?
372.
421. Man, you are really crushing that motor. To run 7.0, you are just. It's got its tongue hanging out.
It's strung out. It's just.
I'm surprised it hadn't put its 2-week notice in.
Yes.
Right. Well, it did. It did when we didn't have port houses. It was so uneven. It blew a whole half the head off of it. It just ate itself.
Really, man. What kind of overdrive are you seeing or running to be able to?
14% over.
That's not bad for a 6.
Yeah, it's not really bad. That blower's really efficient.
Yeah, you're probably in the same boost level. I'm 20 psi ish.
Yeah, we hit 25.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, it's weird. And one thing, you start getting diminishing returns. I don't even know how these turbo guys, they push 60 pounds and it's like, their power doesn't come in till 40 psi. I don't understand it because at least with blowers anyway, at 10 psi you see a significant boost. And then, but the difference between 0 and 10 and 10 and 20, you're halving it each time. I guess it's a root mean square issue.
I don't know.
I think that's what it's called. But no, it's a tough. Blowers are fun. I like them just because they're a little bit complicated, and you got to do the math and all that.
Right.
But the biggest thing when I went to go purchase the blower I currently have, I was actually looking at another blower. It was a 1471 case, but it had 871 rotors in it. And evidently, the tractor pulling guys have found out that they can produce more efficient boost by making the rotors smaller and having a front discharge or something of that. I don't know. It would have been a conversation piece because the damn thing would have been at least 6 inches longer than the one I currently have.
I think it would have been in the cab of the truck.
It would have been. I would have been able to tap. It would have been a drink holder off the side of it. But the 871 I have now is a front discharge, which they are about 1 inch or 2 inches longer than a normal 871.
Yep.
But those little fields, the 671s, they're pretty sweet too. And honestly, if I could have found a 6, I would have probably got a 6.
Yeah.
I don't know. But what is it, BDS? BDS, it's been a good blower so far. Been real happy with it. So was this your first outgoing with methanol? Or have you ran
when we had the car in 2019 or whatever, it was just injected methanol.
Okay, so you started with injected methanol. And then, so you had a little bit of experience with reading plugs and whatnot.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's my other issue that I've been, this is my first year running methanol too. So I've been running blowers for a while, but always on gas.
How much does your car weigh?
1,800 pounds.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is. There it is, like half. It's halfs me.
It is half.
And it's still kind of a heavy dragster too.
Yeah.
It's like, geez.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's you don't see. There's not very many people. I think you're the only one that I know of, and you could tell me I'm wrong. Is running a small block in 7.0.
There's one other guy that yellow small block dragster that I raced against. He's got one, but that's a very light car, a little bit shorter, a lot less stuff on it. My chassis was actually a fuel chassis.
Is his blown as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know how you'd manage it without it, man.
So your racing strategy, finish line strategy, when you're staging up, we've had this discussion with some other guests before.
Yeah.
Are you just turning your head 90 degrees and picking a point on their car to see? Because since you have such a long front end, what's your finish line strategy?
So I really don't have one because I'm so green yet with racing another person. It's just like,
he says
it's hard to.
He says he lets Jesus take the wheel.
No, I just kind of just run it. I didn't have the experience knowing. I don't have that judging yet of where a car would be. I just hope to hell the thing runs what I tell it to run. And
I don't either. I've got maybe 120 laps under my belt, which isn't very many by most standards.
Right.
So I haven't. Everybody says you're supposed to pick a point when you get into pre-stage because that's going to be the closest you're going to be to that guy even.
Sure.
But with yours, it's if you're running another dragster, it makes sense. But if you are running a car, you can't turn 90. You're not looking at anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
I could see his door the whole way down. you know?
Yeah. So it's a little bit different, but you have the advantage of seeing where your front wheels are. So you have a better outlook of the race. It's unfolding in front of you for the most part, the entire race.
I can't see the front wheels, but
okay.
With that motor, it's just like, this is what you're looking at.
Oh, that's true.
So-
yeah.
It's like the Fig Newton sticker.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I do love Fig Newtons.
So how far is your front wheels from your cockpit? Do you know how many feet it is?
The wheelbase is 205 inches, so
Okay.
do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Divided by 12, carry the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
Long.
that's-
It's long.
It's long.
It's out there.
Yeah. So he's probably gonna have a little nut cut out for his 45-foot trailer. His front wheels are gonna be in the living room when he parks it. I mean, that's probably about as long as a dragster as you really can get, right? I mean, do they make ones?
The Nostalgia Top Fuel cars are 225, so they're 20
more
longer.
inches.
Yeah, which is quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you have any aspirations of going up to that next level once you start winning?
You know,
Because you said you
yes
love
and
the nitro, smell of nitro. We all do.
it would be so. I get all my nitro kicks off vicariously. You know, I actually started pitting for a bunch of top fuel guys. You know, Jimmy Young, Mike Taylor, Chris O'Reilly, all the guys that are kind of local to the Midwest. You know, Jim Young only lives an hour from me, and I actually saw him on a Nitro America video on YouTube, and I just hit him up on Facebook. He's like, "Come on down, I need all the help I can get." So, if I can get that fixed there,
Yeah.
I have so much fun with my family, my dad, my girlfriend, my mom, my dad's best friend comes with us. Like, it's not top fuel drag racing is work.
Mhm.
You know, you're tired. It's usually long nights because you blew something up, and just we pull the plugs out because it's fun. We run the valves if we get bored, putting more fuel in it. Maybe we'll change the oil at the end of, if we're running, like Norwalk was a 3-day race, maybe we'll change the oil. I have so much fun doing that, and that's the only reason I wanted to do this.
It's much more laid back than having to replace
Yeah.
pistons and everything else, and
Right,
the
right.
expense.
And that-
people don't realize how expensive it is to do that. I mean,
Man, well, and to feed 6 guys, to put 6 guys up in a hotel, it's just money, and that's if you don't wreck anything, So, but it would be cool to drive one day for somebody, maybe. But
try to get your license or something.
yeah, I have way too much fun with my family and my father doing this. It would just. It wouldn't wreck it, but it wouldn't be as fun.
That's the biggest thing that I love about the NDRL is just the family atmosphere, and that you hit it right on the nail on the head there, because the fellowship that we have together as brothers, and we've branched out with our friends and everything. I mean, every night is like just hanging out with your friends all weekend.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's the best
Butch came
time.
over for a fire. It's just a
Kyle
great time.
Kyle told us, Kyle Renfro was on a few weeks ago, and he said that it's camping with your friends with race cars.
That's it. That's
Exactly.
Yeah, and I've never heard
Absolutely.
anybody say that, and that was actually extremely well put, because it is. It's like just out of campground having fun. It's the best. It really is. And when you're going from you went from Pro Comp to 7.0, there's more expense involved with that. But
There is. Yeah.
you're not going when you get past 7.0, it starts getting super expensive, because you got, at least at the Hot Rod Nationals, is that what it's called? Nostalgia Drags. What was it called now?
The Nostalgia Nationals.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's it.
They have a 6.0 class there. You want to tune that up
Yeah.
to like 44% over and see if we can get her done?
Yeah. No.
Hey, 44% over and like 40 degrees of timing. I think you'll make one pass.
Right. Maybe 10% in the tank or something. I got some extra. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, no. So he needs to stay at 7.0 because he's competitive.
So
get your points, man. Get
Yeah,
your points.
and I tell you what, I think because I don't have any dog in the fight or horse in the race in 7.0. I like Robbie, but I like betting against Robbie.
Yes.
So you might be my horse now. I might have to lay that. I have an ongoing thing with Jackson that I got $20 bet if he races Nick to his brother.
Yeah.
And so no matter what, anytime they race, I got 20 on Nick on them. But
Yeah.
I've lost every one of them.
You have.
So don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
Right.
Oh man,
It's cool.
Is there anybody you want to thank for your racing career? Anybody? You have any
man.
sponsors or anything that you want to shout out?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to thank God for blessing this country for us to be able to do this. my mom, my dad, my dad puts in, my dad is 50% of this whole deal, money, time, everything. And without him, this would not be possible. He devotes his time for me. He comes over, sweats his ass off in my small garage, and we work on the car. And my mom for letting him do that. And she cooks all the food. She'll come and, if she can take care of the food, we don't have to think about that. We can focus on the car. My sister comes once in a while when she can. My girlfriend, Kim, 2 weeks ago, we were putting pistons in the motor it's cold up here in Wisconsin. So we were doing that in the house. Jim Young helped me tune the whole thing, get all the kinks straightened out. Sean Van Horn with Titan Engineering. They run their Titan Speed Engineering. They have oil pumps. They have billet oil pumps, wet sump and dry sump. Scott Parks built the first motor, and he helps me with a lot of my fabrication ideas and stuff like that. John Hauser and Doug Camrod are two of our crew guys that come as much as they can. And, they take off time for work to come watch me, play basically. So, and they love it too. And I just, thank you guys for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
Butch Hill for putting on the NDRL and everybody. It's a great time.
Yeah, it takes a village to run that thing, and those guys are doing a lot of work, a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't realize. It's
right.
It takes a lot of effort on their part. So
absolutely,
thank you to them. Cool, man. Well, we love talking with you. Maybe we'll have you again. We talked about maybe bringing this whole thing to the track one day.
Yeah,
and
that would be cool.
Maybe throughout the year we'll have a couple of them. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So maybe a little pit side chat.
Yeah.
Good. That would be really cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Well, thank you again. You got anything, Chris?
Absolutely.
Hey, let me ask you before you go. One last thing. This is a little riddle.
Sure.
All right. See if you can get it. What can you hold in your right hand but never in your left hand?
Your left hand.
Oh, yeah.
What?
He got it.
No.
He got it.
Levi.
You want to see?
How dare you? He Googled it. He Googled it. He Googled it.
My girlfriend just whispered it from the couch.
Oh.
I never got it.
Oh, man, that's too cool.
All right. Yeah. Now we're going to have her on the podcast for betraying the Line Lock podcast.
She's a crew chief.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And we'll check in with you later in the year.
I love it. Thanks.
All right. See you, man. All right. Man, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, good times, man. Good times.
What we got? We got some viewer mail?
Yeah, we got some viewer mail. How many episodes ago? Two?
I don't know.
One episode? Two episodes ago.
We hadn't even announced this is the 14th episode. 1-4.
Okay, this is
we did it now. It's 14.
So back a couple episodes ago, we had Shane Lyle from Straight Axle Mafia, and one of the Straight Axle Mafia guys was talking. We were talking about the 1956 Chevy Blue Bayou, and they said Chris Crable. He responded and said, Chris Crable owns the 56 Blue Bayou, and he still has it, and he hopes to get it out this coming season. And
he's actually be on the podcast.
Yeah, he responded.
Is it next week, I think?
Hopefully next week.
Yeah, I believe he's going to be on next week. So that's going to be fun. He's got a lot of cars.
Yeah.
A lot of cool ones.
Yes.
But Blue Bayou, as far as I'm concerned, that's the coolest one he's got.
I cannot wait to see that back on the track.
Yeah,
especially
I got a lot of questions for him because, we'll get into it in the podcast, but when that thing came up for sale, I saw it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just couldn't figure out how to mortgage my house fast enough because that was an expensive buy.
It's just going to be exciting to see it in person.
Yeah.
Because I've only seen it in videos and stuff like that. Yeah, I've never seen it up close.
Oh, I think you have. You just didn't realize it.
Maybe I did. I
because he was at Bowling Green all the time when we were down there.
Nah, I do not remember seeing it, but
well, he ran Scott rods, so it wasn't part of the NDRL or even straight axle back then.
Yeah.
So I guess you had to be where you're being, but I tell you had to have seen it because anytime we went down there, he would have been in the first. As you're going into the event, that's the first cars, Scott rods.
Well,
cars.
maybe I did and just didn't realize
you just didn't realize it.
Okay.
But we'll get to see it this year, I hope.
Yeah, for sure.
All
and 1320 Quick wrote us, and he was writing about the Rich Concato from ARC or Auto Rod Corporation, the switch panels, and he's run with us with a 57 Chevy. And he says, I just purchased a new-to-me race car, and it looks like it could use some wiring help. He's going to be talking to Rich over there and get work on that. He's got a new Nova that he's bought that he's going to start racing now for us. But the biggest thing is that
My mistake.
yeah, Corey over here. When we announced the winner for
Which one's fake news?
yeah, which one is fake news?
Is it this one?
You are fake.
There you go. There you go. So when Corey was putting all the information together for our winner for the Extreme Sports, he accidentally gave the shirt to someone else.
Yeah, my bad.
But it was 1320 quick with the lawnmower races without the with the blades running and all that.
And we added without guards too, so we added a little bit to
yeah.
the story. But yeah, I apologize, man. I was copy and pasting so fast, my left hand didn't know what my right hand was doing. I guess.
Hey, mistakes will happen, man. But hey, 1320 quick. We're going to get you out a T-shirt and some stickers and stuff like that for you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing this weekend or this week? I guess this next week to our next podcast.
I will be working in the barn. I've got big projects in here that I got to finish, or at least get closer to finished.
Oh,
so it's a busy week. I've taken some days off, and I'm just going to be stuck out here.
Well, I'm actually building a '68 Corvette right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Penske race car.
No shit.
Yeah, it's about 1/24th scale. I've already got the chassis all built. Why is it that I could build a frame faster than you can build a frame?
I don't know.
So yeah, a new hobby that me and the girlfriend's gotten into.
You got pictures of that?
Yeah, I got pictures. I'll send you one. I just built I've already finished one car in a week.
Wow.
Why can't you finish cars in a week?
I don't know.
But yeah, I finished a 55 Chevy Gasser. So
Nice.
excited about that.
You painted blue?
It's blue and black. Yeah.
You should paint the blue by you on it, and we'll have it sitting right here.
Hey.
It's the only one we can afford, Chris.
Yes, that's a great idea, actually. We'll have a bunch of little models out here.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay, guys. If you want to comment, we got a couple things, actually. If you want to give us a ghost story,
Yeah, we're still waiting on those.
stories. Yeah, we want some of those. If you want to check us out, you can check us out on the YouTube channel for Blood Brothers Racing. And you can actually the video of this. If you're listening to us on like Apple or iTunes, Amazon, you can go to the YouTube channel and see the actual video instead of just hearing it. But we're on a bunch of platforms. Email us at linelockedpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us at linelocked.com if you want to come see the shows.
Yep. And if there's a like button below you because you're watching it, click that thing.
Heck yeah.
And if you're not subscribed, click that one.
Heck yeah.
And if you really enjoyed it, if you liked Levi's interview, do us a favor, share the content. It helps us out. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think we're ready, right?
Cue it. Cue the music.
All right. I think it's that one. Are we going to get this anywhere close?
I'm going to pause. We'll say. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
2, 3.
All right. I am Chris, and we are Line Locked Women.
No, I'm Corey.
I'm Chris.
And we are Line
Locked.
Man, we got to tighten it up, Chris. Tighten it up.
See you guys.